Terry Labonte has been the dominator at Watkins Glen International, showing his muscle with spectacular passes in places where you just aren't supposed to pass. The payoff? 3 victories in a row. Today, he tries to become only the 4th driver in NASCAR Busch Series history to win 4 races in a row at one track. But he'll have some stiff competition from Busch Series regulars like hometown favorite Todd Bodine and Series point leader Randy LaJoie, as well as road course specialists who've invaded for the weekend. Can anyone stop the Labonte Express? Find out next. Road racing in Watkins Glen, New York dates back to 1948. Hence, the 49th year of racing at the Glen is about to begin with these words from John Culligan, president of the Cleaning Products Division of Reckitt and Coleman.
Okay, go ahead. And here to give the command that will send the field on its way, the Lysol 200, is our Grand Marshal, Mr. John Culligan, president of Cleaning Products for Reckitt and Coleman Incorporated.
Drivers, start your engines.
We're waiting on these guys to start their engines. Obviously, they didn't hear that cue. Starting on the first row, on the pole position, a brand new track record, Joe Nemechek. He appeared to be the car to beat here last year, so an engine problem did him in the race. On the outside of the front row, none other than Terry Labonte. Eli told you he's looking for 4 in a row. He's the man that I think that they've all got to beat. Now here's Matt Yoakum.
Glen Road 2 is loaded with a pair of rookies. Steve Park, New York native, starts on the outside of row 2 and 4. He tested here 2 weeks ago. It was nothing better than to get a win in front of his home state fans. Alongside his Canadian Ron Fellows, the road racing star, comes in James Vincent's 4 car. He's never started a NASCAR Busch Series race. He hopes to get his stock up high to get a truck or bush ride for next season. Glenn.
Matt, a little bit further back in the field, but not too far. Starting in 8th position, a great run for Elliott Sadler. He continues his fine rookie performance. Never seen this place before. He'll go off 8. And even more impressive, right back here, starting 9th, car number 31. Look at this name, folks. Dale Earnhardt Jr., also his first time here. What a great run. Back to Matt Yoakum.
Glenn, for the 2nd straight year, point leader Randy LaJoie has come to Watkins Glen and crashed during practice. His crew worked diligently to replace everything from the rear window to the bumper. He qualified the car 17th. His biggest battle today could be the points lead. He only has a 52-point lead over Todd Bodine, who starts in 10th.
Matt, thank you, and welcome to Watkins Glen, everybody. Eli Gold joining you here on TNN Motorsports. It's an interesting mix. Not only the drivers you've already heard us talk about, but how about those road racing visitors, the intruders, if you will, who have done so very well here this weekend. Ron Fellows starting in 3rd position. He's from the SCCA Trans Am Series. Sean Hendricks, a standout in IMSA competition, won the championship a couple of years ago. Brian Simo from England, Rob Wilson, on down to Russell Brown, Joe Pezza, and many others, just to look at some of the specialists who have come here to Watkins Glen because they are comfortable on the road courses. But Larry McReynolds, they are comfortable, yes, because they're specialists using non-specialized cars here this weekend.
That's right, Eli. In Winston Cup, we built a special car just for the one race here at Watkins Glen. We move as many items as we can to the right-hand side to go around the right-hand corners. In an effort to keep the cost of Busch racing down, and since the Busch Series only runs 1 road course a year, NASCAR will only allow them to move some limited items to the right-hand side. They can move the battery, they can build exhaust pipes out the right side, and move what lead they want to move over there, but they can't move major components like the oil tank or the oil cooler as we do in Winston Cup. A lot of them brought short track cars here. It'll be the same cars maybe they run next week at Milwaukee or the following week at Myrtle Beach.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the starting lineup. The Lysol 200 is 200 miles, 82 laps around the 11-turn Watkins Glen road course in the Finger Lakes region of New York. And why don't we take a look at the Splitfire starting grid. Enter the performance zone with Splitfire Performance V spark plugs. Joe Nemechek on the front row, his 8th career NASCAR Busch Series pole, along with Terry Labonte going for that 4th consecutive victory here. Ron Fellows from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, the road racing ace, and Steve Park making his first Busch Series start here at Watkins Glen. Dale Jarrett, his first Busch Series race here, joining Mike McLaughlin, who has finished 3rd and 4th in the last 2 Watkins Glen Busch races. Jason Keller, he's 11th in points, along with Watkins Glen rookie Elliott Sadler, who's got 3 poles this year. Dale Earnhardt Jr., his 3rd career Busch Series start, and Todd Bodine, 2 second-place runs here at this event. Jimmy Spencer, he was supposed to start 11th, missed the drivers' meeting. He's going back. Sean Hendricks will start 12th. Bobby Labonte, 4th in last year's race. And Kevin LePage, who's been the hot man on the tour. Buckshot Jones and Scott Gaylord in row number 8. Randy LaJoy, who's finished 12th and 30th here in the last few races. And Matt Kenseth, the road course rookie. Hermie Sadler and road racer Brian Simo. Then further back, you've got Joe Bessie, who was 6th at Nazareth this year, and Phil Parsons, Ted Christopher and Dennis Setzer. Englander Rob Wilson along with Tim Fedowa. Jeff Crow and Johnny Chapman, 27th and 28th. Mark Crow and Robert Presley will be going in 29th and 30th. Dick Trickle finished 12th here a year ago, and Tracy Leslie. Russell Brown also missed the road course meeting today as the drivers were given the brief description of this layout. He'll be going to the back of the field. Lou Rettenmeyer from the Busch North Series and Glenn Allen. Shane Hall had the pole at South Boston, and Lyndon Amick. Joe Pezza with road racing experience. And the provisional starters, Elton Sawyer, Mark Green, Mike Dillon, and Stevie Reeves. Field getting set to go green. We'll take a look around this speedway with our onboard cameras, the Channel Lock team. That's Phil Parsons. He'll be taking us from midfield. Dale Earnhardt Jr. qualified 9th. We'll be riding with him today. Mike McLaughlin from up in Waterloo, New York, always tough here, and he says he can win today. Dennis Setzer just hoping for a solid run from his 24th starting spot. And we've got Dick Trickle, the veteran from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. He was 12th here a year ago. And Stevie Reeves in the Big A Auto Parts entry, car number 96. So there you see who's carrying the cameras for you today here on TNN Motorsports. Again, this race, Larry Mack, 82 laps, just what, 8 laps shy of what you're used to racing here. And it's an interesting shaped racetrack if you've never seen Watkins Glen.
Well, they'll come down the start-finish line and go into the hard right-hander turn 1, up through 2, 3, and 4, which is the S's, and then that long back straightaway that carries you into what's now called the inner loop, through turn 5 or the outer loop, which is a right-hander long sweeping corner, up the short straight, left-hander turn 10, and then back to the right-hander on turn 11 to the start-finish line.
And now as the field comes beneath the NASCAR Winston Cup Series bridge, green flag about to be displayed, and the Lysol 200 is underway here at Watkins Glen. Now the turn they call the 90, the hard right-hander that sets you up for the S's.
There you see they're going side by side. When they get to really racing, it's kind of one groove through there. You really want to run right around the bottom. There you see Joe Nemechek taking the lead as they went up through turn 2, 3, and 4. And it's important to get back to the gas as quick as you can off turn 1 up through the S's, because that carries your momentum down that long back straightaway.
And that's where they are now, leaving the last S of the S's and working that back straightaway. 2,600 feet, now the inner loop, the chicane, if you will.
You really carry a lot of speed when you get to the entrance of that inner loop, and then you whip back right, 2 lefts, back right. This corner right here, turn 5, it's an important right-hand turn. It's long and sweeping, and it's what determines how much speed you carry as they enter this short straightaway right here.
This straightaway sets you up for turns 10 and 11, and an eventual return back towards the main straightaway. Each lap 2.45 miles around, a grand total of 11 turns here at Watkins Glen. There you see through turn number 11 beneath the bridge. And back to start finish. Joe Nemechek, who led 26 laps in this event a year ago, leads 1 lap thus far, car number 4. That's Ron Fellows in 3rd. No No surprise, though. Nemechek and Labonte are so very smooth.
That's really a key here. You know, when we go back in the days, you know, when Ricky Rudd, he won so many road course races and still runs good. I think a big key was how smooth he was with the steering wheel, braking, throttling. He would drive the car with not only the steering wheel, but with the throttle pedal as well.
Again, through the inner loop. Here's Fellows in the 4, Dale Jarrett in the 32, Steve Park in number 3. Now riding with Mike McLaughlin. He is in 6th position.
You heard McLaughlin sound like he was maybe downshifting there, but actually I think he ain't missed a shift there. You heard the RPMs go way up on the car, and that's not good on that valve train for that motor.
Riding with Mike again. Now it's important to note that some drivers use the clutch pedal here, but with the Jericho transmissions, others use it only in one direction when they shift. Others don't even bother with it.
And I think the most important thing is to try to use the clutch when you downshift. That's when you put it to the most abuse. But a lot of drivers downshift and shift up without the clutch.
Those are Mike McLaughlin's magic shoes, if you will. That's what they call them up here near home, Magic Shoes McLaughlin.
All right, there you see he mashed the gas down, and he come up just for a second. When he come up just for a second, that's when he actually shifted, and you saw that he never mashed the clutch.
There you see third, 4th place, Dale Jarrett. Park is in 5th. McLaughlin right behind in 6th. And watch Mike's feet again as he goes through the inner loop. And he's in number 34 on your screen.
He's just touching the brake pedal right there, just enough to set the car. Back on the gas right there. See, lifts right there to go through turn 11. Back on the gas. Well, that's actually turn 5. Right there, that's where he shifted. You saw his foot never got near the clutch. Just touches the brake pedal, getting into turn 10. This is really the only critical left-hander on the entire course. Everything else is predominantly right-handers, and then you have the S's.
Someone came by moments ago, and I don't really know who it is, and lost what looked to be an oil pump belt that went flying out from beneath the pack of traffic. We'll keep an eye on that and see if anybody starts limping around towards the pit area. But someone in that big old pack of traffic moments ago is going to be having some problems as an oil pump belt seemed to just go flying from traffic. Joe Nemechek leading early in the Lysol 200. Welcome back, everybody. We are under caution here at Watkins Glen International. Sean Hendricks, the road racing ace, was going downhill through turn number 1, and we'll pick it up and see exactly what happens.
He was off the racetrack. He went through the gravel pit, and there you see he hit that foam wall. And let me tell you, I know it looks like a big mess right there, but that foam wall probably saved that car a lot more damage it could have had. And there you see Sean Hendricks walking around, and those guardrails, they'll do a lot of damage. So that foam wall saved that car a lot.
Glenn Hendricks is a fine road racer. He's won Lime Rock, Sears Point, Laguna Seca, New Orleans, Pikes Peak. He's not going to win Watkins Glen today.
No, it certainly doesn't look like it, Eli. And his problems may have started on the very first lap. He came down pit road. They raised the hood. The problem was the accelerator pedal was hanging up wide open. They thought they got it adjusted. That may have been the reason he got into turn 1 so hard. They put the hood down, sent him back out. He came back around for the first lap, went into the corner too hard. So he might have had a problem with the accelerator hanging. Also, Terry Labonte is in conversation with his dad, Bob Labonte, in his pits. He's got a problem. The overflow valve at the back of the car is stuck open. So every time that he accelerates, gets on the gas is pouring out the back of the car. They told him, Terry, it looks like a garden hose. So he's got a real problem there. We're going to have to keep an eye on that.
And we had mentioned before the commercial break that someone let a belt loose beneath traffic here, and that turns out to be Rob Wilson, the road racer from London, England, who is going back to London and is going to be testing for Lotus at Brands Hatch on Tuesday. He has already gone to the garage area, apparently with engine failure as a result of that oil pump problem.
Eli, there you see on the back right-hand side of the back of Terry's car, that little aluminum tube. That's what Glenn's talking about. And it has a little flapper valve in it that will keep fuel in there. And the catch can man, when they fuel the car, actually has to stick a probe in there to open it because the car will not take fuel until that valve is open. And this could be really critical because this is an 82-lap race. These guys under caution, they need to conserve as much fuel as they can because a lot of them is borderline of being able to go halfway, which they're going to try to do here today, which is 41 laps.
So those are the stories that are developing early. We're working here on lap number 5 of 82, the Lysol 200 under caution with Joe Nemechek, your leader. Race into the all-new and official store of NASCAR. You can visit NASCAR's Thunder, now open in those cities everywhere, and there'll be locations near you before much longer. There's no doubt about that. If you like other locations, exact information, you can visit us at the web, www.country.com. NASCAR Thunder is the official store of NASCAR. Working caution after Sean Hendricks went through the gravel pit and into the wall in turn number 1. That car going up the hill there, trailing behind after the driver change. Scott Gaylord getting out and Jeff McClure going in.
Here you see he's actually helping him fasten the window net. You know, a lot of places we see driver changes. You're really close on time getting the driver in there and buckled up, but it takes so long to go around here on caution. You really got time to make sure that everything's fastened in properly.
How about the fuel situation, Glenn Jarrett? What you got?
Well, first of all, let's show what Larry was talking about. This is the rod on the catch can. This is what catches the overflow out of the fuel tank. This is the rod. When he jammed this up against the overflow vent back there, this rod is what opens that flapper valve to allow them to put gas in the car. Now, Larry, you were talking about some of the guys maybe wanting to go halfway. We talked to most of the crew chiefs here. Most of the cars that were running up front, that qualified up front, said, well, we might could make it, but the big problem is we might could make it on one stop, but the big problem is our tires are going to wear out before then. They're only getting about 20 to 25 laps of good tire wear here. In fact, Bob Labonte told me that after 27 laps, his left front on Terry's car was completely worn out. So I think they're going to try to, most of them are going to have to go 2 stops. There will be some, however, that try to make it on 1 stop. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Glenn, uncharacteristic for the NASCAR Busch Series, they did not have a happy hour practice after qualifying yesterday afternoon. Todd Bodine, the second in points in the Stanley Pontiac, they qualified 10th. They said the car was way too tight. They made a lot of changes, 4 springs, 4 shocks, a front sway bar, and he said the car is still too tight through the S's. They're looking at maybe pitting around lap 20 because the car is so tight, they don't want to start losing a lot of track position.
Todd Bodine, 4 top 5 finishes in the 6 NASCAR Busch Series races here at Watkins Glen. Field has not yet gotten the 1-to-go signal, but here at Watkins Glen, they don't always get it at the start-finish line, Larry. They, as road courses is the case, same at Sears Point and others, you don't get the 1-to-go signal at the start-finish line.
Well, that's correct. You know, again, if they feel like between the time they cross the start-finish line now and when they get to the inner loop, they can give them the 1-to-go over there, then they'll get the green next time by.
They are going to be giving the 1-to-go signal to the field as they get through the inner loop. So we're closing in on the restart here. Again, 82 laps around this track, 200.9 miles around. Glenn?
Well, Eli, I got a question for Larry. You were talking about the car that's got a push in it, and Larry, because you're mostly right-hand turns here at the Glen, but you also got some left-handers, and if the car is pushing that much, do they adjust the push in a car on a road course the same way that you would on an oval speedway like we normally would?
Well, you know, I talked to some of the crew chiefs and drivers this morning, and some of them was actually too tight or pushing the front end wasn't sticking to the left and to the right. What you got to do then, you got to make sure you don't loosen it up for the right, because that's going to make it even tighter for the left. So things they can do, they can let air pressure like out of both front tires. That'll make the front stick better. Now, some of them was encountering tight one direction and the rear wasn't sticking the other. That's a little bit easier to solve. You can put wedge in or wedge out and fix it for both directions. But when it's pushing both directions like up through the S's, about the only thing they can do is play with maybe the front air pressure or actually put air in the rear tires.
Field will be getting the 1-to-go signal. There's the AutoZone race analysis brought to you by the more than 1,575 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And certainly you see Terry Labonte as the dominant driver here. As a matter of fact, a NASCAR Busch Series regular has never won this event here at Watkins Glen. It has always been a Winston Cup visitor who's gone to victory lane, but you never know how things might change. This racetrack, as we mentioned, celebrating its 49th anniversary this year. Road racing actually began in Watkins Glen, or racing in Watkins Glen, on the original street course back in 1948. So this is the 49th year of racing here in Watkins Glen, New York. This is also the short course. If you're a road racing aficionado, or even if you're new to it, there is a NASCAR short course that these drivers are using, 2.45 miles around. And then there is a secondary part of the course called the Boot, which these teams bypass, but that's where the high-speed sports cars, and of course in the days of the Formula One races here, they still used the Boot section. But this particular event, 2.45 miles around on what is called the NASCAR short course, as the field gets set to go green. Jimmy Spencer, we told you, missed the drivers' meeting. He had to start in the back. He is now up to 29th position. Steve Park, Matt, hanging in 5th spot right now.
Eli, Steve has a little bit of an overheating problem. He's about 10 degrees hotter than they would have liked. That's because he's picking up a little bit of aero problems off cars ahead of him. What they're going to do when they pit, they're going to pull a piece of tape off. They feel that should solve their cooling problem. An interesting note, they are still planning on going one stop. They can get 44 laps, they feel, 5.9 miles to the gallon here at Watkins Glen. Their strategy is still to go halfway. They said, I know everyone is saying tires are going to be a problem, but we still think our strategy was going to put us in victory lane.
Park's a fine road racer. He put Joe Nemechek's truck on the pole here last year for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event. So Park darn good on the road courses. Green flag in the air. We are back to work. Lap number 7 complete. We start lap number 8 of 82. The problems on the restart there. Ron Fellows has problems, Glenn Jarrett.
It looks like he might have missed a shift. I'm going to head up to his pit and check and see exactly what happened, but that appears to be the problem as he came under the bridge there for the start. The thing just did not pick up speed.
Didn't go, so Ron Fellows with a problem. There you see the James Finch-owned machine. By the way, Dale Shaw, the Busch North Series driver, after today's race, is moving down to Panama City, Florida, and he is going to be going full-time racing for James Finch the rest of the way. So that's what's happening with the 4 bunch. But now it's Joe Nemechek showing the way up front. Park moving up to 4th now with the problems that Fellows had. And now Mike McLaughlin, who moves up to 5th.
Now there you see Dale Jarrett running 3rd. I talked to Dale this morning. You remember Dale qualified on the outside pole here last year, and he said, Larry, I'm going to tell you, when we first got here with this Busch car, he said, I was lost. He said, I never dreamed you could drive these cars, being the Busch cars, as deep in the corners you could, or get back to the gas as quick as you could. It's a lot different when you take that extra little horsepower out of them that the Cup cars have, and that extra 100 pounds of weight that the Cup cars have that these Busch cars don't have.
Problems into the gravel pit, and gone goes Johnny Chapman. That gravel pit is new. That is pea gravel that has been used at Formula One courses and other road race circuits around the world. It is a new addition to Watkins Glen, and obviously right there it really helped. That used to be grass, which actually to some degree hastened your approach to the wall. Now that bogs you right down.
Yes, sir, and when the grass would be just a little bit wet, you'd actually, again, as you said, I think you'd pick up speed before you'd hit that guardrail. And the gravel pit, it just really mauls the car down and just takes the speed out of it. Road Atlanta's been using gravel in a pit a lot of the corners for several years. We tested down there a couple of years with Ernie Irvin and got in the gravel pit. Now, we was picking gravel out of the car for about 2 years, but that was a whole lot easier to do than putting a snout on the car.
No doubt about it. Ron Fellows has made it around to the pit lane if you're following his work today, but we stay with the leaders now who approach turn number 10. There you see the work on Fellows' bunch. And Glenn Jarrett, what are they doing?
It appears to be a transmission problem, just like I suspected, Eli. Something in the gear train there as he tried to shift into 3rd gear coming down the front stretch. It simply would not go there. So they're up under the car on the left side, the other side from us here, but they're under it working on the transmission right now. They let him back down, so evidently it would not go into gear. If he has to run it the rest of the day in high gear, it's going to be a long one.
Meanwhile, the leaders having bypassed Fellows while he sat on the pit lane, putting him a lap down here. Uphill towards the S's, turns 2, 3, 4. And then straightening out onto that back straightaway, 2,600 feet right there, the straightaway towards the inner loop.
These cars look pretty equal, Eli, through the corners and down the straightaways. And you know, with Ron Fellows missing third gear, even though you use second, third, and fourth here, third is the gear that you use the most, so it's just about impossible to go around this racetrack without third gear.
You saw the one machine there that was in the inner loop had gone up against the wall. Again, if you're new to road racing, you'll see the caution flag right there for Brian Simo. That is not, now it is being shown as a full course yellow. Initially, they were showing the caution flag just in that area of the road course, but now because he can't move and he was perilously close to the inner loop, they have made this an all-course caution. Here another look at what transpired. There he goes right off the turn.
Yeah, just run out of racetrack there and ended up over in the grass. Don't look like he really ended up hitting anything, but off the course and evidently couldn't get it refired.
So caution is on the speedway for the second time. It'll come out at lap number 10. Brian Simo, another of the road course standouts from Carlsbad, California, brings out the yellow in the hand of Carl Simmons. Joe Nemechek is the leader. Has been since they've dropped the green. We are back with you at Watkins Glen International, working the second caution of the day. Brian Simo stopping in the inner loop, bringing out the caution. Meanwhile, there is Ron Fellows back on the speedway after that stay on the pit lane. Glenn, what'd they finally figure out?
Eli Johnny Allen, the crew chief on the number 4 car, told me that the thing just simply stuck in gear, that Fellows couldn't get it out of gear to change on the restart there. They came in, they got it out of gear manually up under the car. It now just has a real hard, like a spongy, sticky spot in the transmission. He says it's changing, but it's not the way they want it. There is a problem there.
Ron Fellows from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. He is our Big A Auto driver of the race. Let's learn about this man who brings great road racing experience to the Glen. He comes from north of the border in Canada, a proven SCCA Trans Am Series star. He's tried his hand at NASCAR Busch Series racing, testing during the off-season. But Ron Fellows really proved himself here at Watkins Glen this weekend, qualifying the James Finch car in third. But what do you want to have happen in the future, Ron?
Be Jeff Gordon's teammate. Who wouldn't? Well, I mean, I want to pursue NASCAR. I mean, it's the most competitive racing there is anywhere in the world, and it's. I mean, NASCAR's done such a terrific job marketing. This is the place to be. So we're going to take a shot at trying to make it here in the NASCAR world, whether it's trucks, Busch. I mean, it doesn't matter. Going to do a few more truck races, and this opportunity came up thanks to the people at Chevrolet as well. I love the racing. I mean, it's more as fun as it is to watch. It's even more fun doing it. So I'm happy to have this opportunity, and I just hope we can make a career here somehow.
Well, certainly the sport would be better for it. Ron Fellows, very classy young guy, but he's on the pit lane again as work continues on the tranny for that Phoenix Construction Company number 4 entry. Rundown for you. Joe Nemechek is the leader, has been since the start. Terry Labonte second. Dale Jarrett is third. Look, you see that? Look at that to the right front of Dale Jarrett's car. Just got to look at that right there.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good dent in that right front fender, and with as much speed as you carry here, that could hurt the front downforce on that car. It could cause the front end not to stick.
Glenn, what did that happen on that restart?
Absolutely, Eli, when he was right behind Fellows when his car would not go into gear and Dale bumped him in the back. That's the second time that's happened to Dale today. We almost ran in the back of somebody coming out here this morning.
Really? It's amazing how that happens. There you see Ron Fellows. He's back on the speedway again. We'll continue the rundown for you on the screen. The folks from Napa Auto Parts at Napa, they keep America running. Good run for Dale Earnhardt Jr., still hanging right in there in his third career NASCAR Busch Series start. Some of the others who missed the drivers' meeting, the biggest name among NASCAR Winston Cup and Busch Series regulars, Jimmy Spencer, had to go to the back of the field. He's all the way up to 22nd right now. And Jimmy's run well here at the Glen.
You know, you've seen Jimmy really come along on the road courses, even the Winston Cup cars. You know, I think when he first started running on the Winston Cup circuit, he wasn't a big fan of the road courses, but it seems like with a lot of guys, the more they run them, the more they like them, and the better they run.
It is a broken drive shaft on Brian Simo's car. That is the report from the fellas down on the pit lane, and they are pushing that machine to the garage area. So his day apparently done. Brian Simo to the garage area as he joins Sean Hendricks and Rob Wilson as the early retirees here in the Lysol 200. Dennis Setzer. How you doing, Dennis?
You know, Eli, as many caution laps as we've already run in this first part of the race, for people like Steve Park that's planning on trying to do it on one stop, not only is running these caution laps certainly not making the tires wear anymore, but it will help the fuel mileage. You can figure about 1.5, 1 3/4 caution laps to 1 green lap here, so this could buy them the extra fuel mileage they need to do it on one stop.
And pit stops are a different story altogether on Watkins Glen's road course. We'll talk about that as our day continues. Restarting 13 of 82 laps. Nemechek, Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Steve Park, McLaughlin, the 57 Keller. Good battle there. Elliott Sadler in the 29, the 36 Todd Bodine, 31 Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Buckshot Jones in the 00.
Good side-by-side racing there through the S's. You don't see that a lot through the S's. Normally they're content to get single file to make it up through there before they hit that long backstretch.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. nice and smooth going into the inner loop now. 00 right there has Randy LaJoie getting through. That team, LaJoie's team, they wrecked that car at 9:15 yesterday morning. 3 hours later, they had literally rebuilt it in total, as Matt told you during the pre-race segment of our telecast today. Their backup car was not at all prepared for road racing, and Steve Bird said, let's rebuild it. And they took them 3 hours, and I mean, it was quite a performance to watch. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has problems. Tough break for the Gargoyles team. Caution is on the speedway. A full course caution now for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And here's what happened to him. Going into the inner loop.
I don't know if he actually had the wheels locked up there, or if something let go in the engine or transmission. You saw a lot of smoke coming out of the back of it from him undoing his helmet stuff there. It looks terminal, though.
A lot of things can happen going into that infield inner loop area, Glenn. You can have wheel hop if things don't go well in the braking, or maybe something you've learned about already.
Well, absolutely, Eli. I think that Dale had a problem. They were talking about coming in under that last caution. He got by the entrance to pit road before he had the chance to get down pit road, but they had a problem with the car, and I got a suspicion that something happened, something locked it up like that, because he had come up here and tested and done a really good job, had done a good job so far today, and I don't think that he just lost it. I think there was some kind of problem with the car. We'll check on it and let you know.
I would agree. He really did have an outstanding test session here. He's got Doug Williams with him as crew chief. And Doug said to me yesterday, Larry, he said, at the exact same stage of development, he says Dale Earnhardt Jr. has as much talent at the same stage of development as Dale Earnhardt did at this time.
Well, I think there's a lot of talent there, and I guess he tested Michigan here a couple of weeks ago and had a really good test up there. And you know, this car here has a pretty good history also. It's been an Oldsmobile. It actually was part of the fleet when Steve Grissom won the Busch Grand National Championship, so it goes back several years ago.
So they'll clean things up there in the exit of the inner loop. Dale Earnhardt Jr. joining Sean Hendricks, Rob Wilson, and Brian Simo in the garage early. There you see the Gargoyles machine. They have pushed it towards the exit of the inner loop. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. just fine, as we saw. He's checking things out there. And here's a good look at what happened, Larry.
Yeah, they're coming out of the S's there onto the long back straightaway. And right there, evidently, he developed a problem, because you see cars going to the left and to the right. So it's not running up to speed right there. And he gets to the inside of the racetrack, and evidently it let go right there. But he did a good job of keeping it under control and getting it off the racetrack.
Now there's Dale Earnhardt Jr. talking it over with the safety crew and the cleanup folks here. What are they saying, Glenn? Is it definitively an engine problem?
I think so, Eli. My spotter person, Susan Chrysler, told me that we're waiting on Dale, see if we get a word from him. But Susan told me that she picked up some transmission from him right before it happened. He said the oil pressure was really, really low on the car, so it probably just lost oil pressure and locked up, and that's why all the smoke came out of the thing. So definitely an engine problem.
All right, so that's the update on Dale Earnhardt Jr. As far as Randy LaJoie, he is now up to 10th. He started 17th. Joe Bessie is up to 13th now. He started 21st. We've talked about Jimmy Spencer starting at the rear. He's up to 18th now. Tracy Leslie has picked up a dozen spots. He's now in 20th after going 32nd. But that's quite a job there. Watching Steve Bird and the fellas literally rebuild that whole car yesterday. Folks, you can't imagine what it looked like when it came in off the racetrack at 9:15 yesterday morning. And they've earned whatever they get this weekend. Field getting the 1 to go signal now. We'll take a listen from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. in-car microphone. Let's listen in here.
I don't know. He was coming out of the S's there. First, we thought he might have missed a shift or something, but it's like when he went to grab high gear, that's maybe when the problem actually developed. Yeah. So I'm not sure he actually missed a shift there or the problem had already started.
As I said, you can listen in and see exactly what transpired there for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Plans to run a number of races still this year. He's already run Nashville, where he started 19th, finished 32nd, had engine problems there. But we'll be seeing a lot more of him, Matt, before this season's over.
Eli Dale Jr. told me the plans this season are to run 5 to 7 NASCAR Busch races. They tested 2 weeks ago at Michigan with Steve Park. They said they did so well that he kind of softened up the Intimidator and maybe letting him run 5 to 7 races this year. They're going to try to buy a car from Steve Park's team and run Michigan. He says this team, everyone here is basically under the age of 25. We've got Doug Williams here as our consultant. He says, Doug said, look, you guys, I'll let you slide a little bit. You can stay out past 8:30. But if you guys get in trouble, I've got the Intimidator's number in the Bahamas on my cell phone. All I have to do is hit redial, and you guys will be in trouble.
Eli, it almost sounds like another version of the Peach Fuzz game.
Doesn't it, though? The youngsters who worked out of Hueytown, Alabama, when Davey Allison got himself going in racing. Green flag in the air as the field is back to turn number 1, downhill towards that 90-degree right-hander.
Joe Nemechek has not been giving up anything on those restarts at all to Terry Labonte. He's been carrying him down that front straightaway right into turn 1.
Number 1, you saw Hermie Sadler there making a move, riding now with Phil Parsons. Phil is in 15th spot.
And Phil had an engine change this morning. He actually had an engine problem in qualifying and almost felt like that the motor was actually going a little soft on him prior to qualifying. So putting this fresh engine in, he's moving on up through the field.
Dennis Setzer we rode with briefly there as they approach the inner loop. The inner loop added in 1992, and that changed the track length from 2.42 to the current 2.45 mile distance. There's Phil.
You know, Eli, for the fans that's not aware of it, one of the reasons that the inner loop was added, it was added after J.D. McDuffie's accident. And before they put that inner loop, entering that long right-hand turn 5, speeds was getting up in the mid-170s. When you get off the racetrack there, those kind of speeds, it was a long way to that guardrail, and cars would really hit hard if they slowed the speeds down.
You saw Tracy Leslie with problems there, running in 20th spot as we're back up front now with Nemechek, who has led from the start with Terry Labonte, Dale Jarrett, and Steve Park in the top 4 positions. Uphill to begin the S's. Turns 2, 3, and 4.
Pretty much everybody running in single file right there.
There is the final S. And now that's straight away again towards the inner loop. Problems for Dennis Setzer right there. Everybody has bypassed him going uphill into the S's right there. There's Dennis now. We have Robert Presley beside him in the 47. Looked like a tire rub almost. It looked like a right rear might have had sheet metal caved in on it.
Looks as though he's back up to speed to somewhat right now, though.
Jimmy Spencer battling with Hermie Sadler. Jimmy in number 20. He's now in 16th position. Hermie in 17th. Again, not to belabor the point, but Jimmy Spencer had to start at the back of the field. Had transmission problems a good bit yesterday, but they've obviously got it all sorted out now.
He felt like he had a good race car, I think, from the time they unloaded here yesterday morning. Again, it just was unfortunate he missed the driver's meeting, but he's gradually working his way to the front.
And remember, too, that Jimmy could have won Texas, could have won Charlotte. Couldas and wouldas, I know, don't add up all the time. But number 20 right there, Jimmy Spencer, has had top 5s in 2 of his last 3 NASCAR Busch Series races. Came back a year ago here, if you were with the telecast. Remember, he was a lap down, came back to finish 6th. So he's really become a darn good road racer. Let's go back now and see if we can pick up what Dennis Setzer's problems were before. We're riding with him. Oh, right there with, that's the Lysol car. That's what happened.
That's the reason he was off the racetrack.
Now that answers where that sheet metal caved in on the tire came from. There's Ron Fellows again, not up to speed with his transmission problems. He is in 38th spot, a lap down to the race leaders.
See something flapping underneath the car there. It's part of the valence, part of the front valence extension. So don't know how long they're going to let him ride around with that flapping and dragging the racetrack. A lot of front end damage there.
Yeah, and he's not a bad road racer. Finished 11th here last year when he was driving for the Aikens-Sutton racing team. That's the team that Elton Sawyer now drives for. They have the 43 number up on the flag stand. So that means the next time by, Carl Simmons will be showing the black flag to Dennis Setzer. And he'll have to be coming in to clean up that dangling sheet metal and all in the valence area.
And, you know, it could be a bad situation even for him if that did come loose, because he could actually run over it and cut his own tire with it, much less somebody else's.
One good thing, though, a quick stop on the pit lane. You don't lose a lap necessarily here, because laps are taking you a minute and 17, minute and 18, minute and 19 seconds. So it's not good, but it's not devastating.
Exactly. You know, you got to maintain that 35-mile-an-hour pit road speed. But as long as you're up near the front, you know, you normally can make a normal pit stop here and stay on the lead lap.
Leader continues to be Joe Nemechek, as the NASCAR officials and Dennis Setzer's crew await his arrival on pit road. There are the leaders and the names thereof. Second to third place now is 3.5 seconds. So from those two, from Nemechek and Labonte, back to third place, Dale Jarrett, now 3.5 seconds. And that just shows you, as well as those guys are getting around, the others are doing well too. They just can't hang with the front two.
And you know, especially that guy in second place, there's not a better one in the business as far as tire management. If these tires are wearing like they said they were, he knows he can't push the envelope right now and abuse those tires.
They have finally pushed Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car back to the garage area. Glenn's with him. Glenn?
Now, folks, look at this face. Remember this face. You're going to see it for a long, long time to come. Dale, looked like the car was doing great. I was defending your honor. We heard you. We speculated that you might have had an engine problem that got you in trouble.
Yeah, we sure did. The Gargoyle Seconds Monte Carlo was running real good. We were real happy with the car. Come up here and qualified good, ran good. I was just upset we didn't get to finish the race. I want to thank my father for the opportunity to be here. And, you know, maybe we'll come back next year and run a little bit better.
What about the rest of this year? We've also speculated we may see you some more this year.
Oh, yeah, we plan to make maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 races this year. And, you know, we'll just have to see how we do. We'll hopefully have a good, successful season, run full-time next year.
Well, he's already got a lot of it down. He speaks well, and he mentioned all those sponsors. We'll see this kid for a long time. Thanks, Dale.
No doubt about it, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Front two right there, continuing to pull away now, darn close to 4 seconds over the third place man. That would be Jarrett. Steve Park is fourth. Mike McLaughlin fifth. Sixth now is Jason Keller. Good run for him with Todd Bodine seventh. Elliott Sadler is eighth. Kevin LePage is ninth. Randy LaJoie is 10th. There's Jason Keller right there. The Slim Jim colors coming through the heat waves of the day, making his fourth Watkins Glen start. You know, Larry, he's done something different. He had converted a short track car over the last couple of years, and then decided to just keep that one converted because it was running well here. So he has, as much as the rule book will allow, a true road course car.
And you know, as we talked in open, there's a lot of things you know you can do to help the car. You can build exhaust pipes that go out the right-hand side. There you see the exhaust pipes, one of them right there. And, you know, if you get a car that works well at a racetrack, then, you know, and you've got a good fleet of race cars, there's no sense in not keeping that car for a particular racetrack.
So it's a different approach, Matt, that Jason Keller has to road racing.
Eli, the approach that many teams take when they come to Watkins Glen, just finish. Take the green flag, the checkered flag, let's load up and get on down the road. Jason Keller told me that used to be his approach until this season. New crew chief Kenneth Campbell, as you stated, brought this car with a new road racing-oriented clip on it, brought it to Watkins Glen. He said it's fast, but the biggest change has been the driver. I sat home in South Boston and watched last year's race 16 times. I watched the in-car of Terry Labonte lap after lap after lap, rewind it, run it again. I wanted to pick up his approach to every corner, how he did everything. He says, I have picked up his rhythm. He says, and now Terry Labonte is the master, but I'm coming, and I really think I've got a legitimate shot today. Jason
Keller, he's a good one right there with Todd Bodine behind him. That's 6th and 7th. There's Phil Parsons now on the pit lane. The Channel Lock bunch having just made a quick stop. Glenn, what'd they do?
Well, Eli, I can't believe it, but they put gas in it and made a chassis adjustment, but he was out of gas. The car stalled a couple of times here. We've only run, what, 24 laps, 24 laps, and the car was out of gas. So, man, I don't know. They must not have gotten it completely full this morning. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it, but that was the problem.
And there you see old Dennis Setzer after he was black flagged before. They've again got sheet metal still caved in on the Goodyears.
He's got those tires rubbing, and you might as well get on pit road because eventually they'll quit rubbing. The reason they'll quit rubbing is the air will go out of them.
It's amazing how that happens. That's Larry McReynolds. I'm Eli Gold. Glenn Jarrett and Matt Yoakum are on the pit lane. We are live with you at Watkins Glen International, the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York. Back in a moment. Well, he's made a quick pit stop, Dennis Setzer has. He's back on the racetrack, but he cannot escape the watchful eye of the TNN cameras. Here's what happened to Dennis Setzer.
He was going up through the S's right there, out of the last part of the S's, and gets off the gas, back to the throttle right there, and looks like as he got back to the gas, it just come around with him, spins it around, and just goes up and kisses the tire wall. That's what knocked the front end in on the tires.
So we remain under green as Dennis Setzer continues in the Riddling-owned number 43 machine. Just joining us, 3 full course cautions today. One for Sean Hendrick's problems on lap 4. One for Brian Simo at lap 10. Then Dale Earnhardt Jr. lap number 13. There's Mike McLaughlin in the 34. That's 5th place for him. Just ahead, the AC Delco colors, Steve Park in 4th. Dale Jarrett is in 3rd. And, you know, we were talking here during the break, Larry, thinking about Phil Parsons' problems. We all know who watch road racing a good bit. Fuel pickup is a problem at a road race course.
It can certainly be a headache, Eli. You know, on a regular short track or the ovals like we run, the fuel pickup's pretty simple. You put it in the far back right rear corner of the fuel cell. That way, when you go around the corner, G-forces throws the fuel to the right rear corner under acceleration, and you normally can pick up all 22 gallons that the fuel cell holds. But here, since you're going left and right, you have to put the pickup at the rear, but you have to put it about in the center. And where you'll really get a problem is up through the S's where you're making that transition left and right. And something tells me that they probably had Phil's car full at the beginning of the race, or otherwise they wouldn't wait enough. But maybe the pickup's not at the very bottom of the fuel cell or not where it's picking up all the fuel. So they're going to have a long day only picking up that amount of fuel.
Riding with Mike McLaughlin as other teams make their pit stops now. Oh, not even a stop for Robert Presley. He's going to take the Sunoco car directly to the garage area. So Robert Presley will join Sean Hendricks, Rob Wilson, Brian Simo, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the attrition list here. Meanwhile, here comes Terry Labonte down the pit lane now for his stop. And pit stop strategy is different here. Actually, working on the car is different here, Larry.
You're pitting with the right-hand side of the car to the pit wall, so the guys go across and actually change the left side tires first. There you see the change the left sides. Now they're on the right-hand side, cleaning the grill, filling up with Unocal gasoline. and down and away he is. And again, as we talked earlier, with him being at the front of the pack, even changing 4 tires, he will not lose a lap here. And there you see Bobby Labonte as well getting service from his crew.
He's 13th, Glenn.
Yes, he is, and they decided to come in together. They've been watching each other, been sending a runner back and forth. Their pits are about 100 yards apart, but they decided to come in the racetrack together. Bobby's car is full of fuel. This is a 4-tire stop. They want to take every advantage. Now Brian Frazier, a tire rolled away, and Brian Frazier jumped all the way down from the top out in front of the car. Bobby's away. Great job, crew, and Brian Frazier, the crew chief. That
really could have been a bad situation, because had it rolled across the center of pit road, they could have brought him back in and penalized him for the tire getting away.
But meanwhile, there is our leader. The Bell South Mobility colors for Joe Nemechek. Will he make a stop? Let's see. No, he's going right on by the entrance to the pit lane. So he'll stay on the racetrack and put lap number 27 up on the board. 82 laps making up the distance today. Mike McLaughlin is making a pit stop. We'll talk about it in a moment. There's your running order as we welcome you back to TNN Motorsports live coverage from Watkins Glen International in upstate New York. The Lysol 200 not yet to the halfway mark, and Joe Nemechek not pitting. Dale Jarrett is in right now. Jimmy Spencer has been in for service. Joe Pezza has pitted moments ago. There's the White Rain team, Glenn.
And he pulls it in. This will be a 4-tire stop, guys. They're going to go ahead and do the tires. And Larry, you and I were talking about this very same thing. If they can't make it all the way, go ahead and pit now, pit early, because if that caution should come out, you're that much further up in the running area. They're going to have to stop again anyway. We've got the clock on. Oh, they had a problem. The right side fell down. They did not have the right rear, or excuse me, the left side. I'm confused because we're running backwards here. But now Wes Ward, the crew chief, comes around, but he had a problem back there on the left rear. This is going to be a long stop. This is going to hurt him in the standings. He should lose several positions on this stop, guys. Not a good one at all.
I tell you, you got to give a call to that front tire changer. He saw they was having trouble on the left rear, so to save time after he had his right front lugs loose, he went back and loosened the right rear. That way, when that tire changer did get there, the lug nuts was already off, so he was really heads up on that.
The leader now, Joe Nemechek, exiting turn number 11, 35-mile-an-hour pit road speed, and he's coming into the crew now to make their stop. It'll be at lap number 31. Matt Yoakum is awaiting our leader.
Brian Patter reminds him 35 miles per hour, nice and slow. Everyone, just be patient. Do a nice, good stop. He says no changes in this car. He goes, the car is feeling pretty good. Let's just get 4 tires and fuel. And they're going to make sure they get all the fuel in the car as they come around to the right side to do a 4-tire stop. Eli?
Steve Park will now inherit the lead by virtue of this pit stop. A lot of teams making their stop. You see him going by behind. You saw LaJoy, Buckshot Jones go by. On the pit lane now, others making their stops. Hermie Sadler is in there at the top of your screen, the yellow and black DeWalt colors. All of these stops under green, lap number 31. They have also black flag Matt Kenseth. As you see Hermie Sadler's crew going to work. Kenseth, a road race rookie, has a rear end problem developing. And there's the race leader.
Pretty much on these stops, Eli, you see everybody taking 4 Goodyear tires on there. It would be no advantage to changing 2 tires because you're working one side of the car just as hard as your other. And I believe Steve Park's going to hit pit road.
He will be coming in on the pit lane right here. His stop at lap number 32 of 82. Steve Park. As Tony Uri and the rest of the AC Delco bunch await his presence. Kevin LePage is behind him coming down the lane. That'll be a stop for him. It'll move Todd Bodine into the top spot as the current race leader. Let's go to Matt.
Steve Clark stops right on the stop sign. Tony Uri Jr. and Ray Holm going to work on the left side. It's going to be a 4-tire stop. Steve says the car is a little tight, so they're going to free it up for him. And Tony Senior says, make sure you get all the gas in to Kevin Eagle, the gas man. Good stop for Steve Park. Let's go back upstairs.
Other pit stops being made. We've seen Matt Kenseth answer the black flag. He is in. Lou Rettenmeyer for the NASCAR Busch North Series, and a darn good road racer. He is in for service. Others making their stops now. Lyndon Amick makes his way down the pit lane as you watch the leader right there, number 36, the Stanley Tools entry for Todd Bodine. What a year. He has finished in the top 10 in 15 of the 16 races this year.
I don't think he's won a race, but again, he's been consistent, and that's what championships is all about, is finishing in that top 5 and that top 10 just every week that you can.
There you ride with Dennis Setzer. Just ahead of him is the race leader, Todd Bodine, who does not stop. How about other guys, Glenn? Anybody really going to try to push it here? Well, there's Dick Trickle. Sounds like his car's almost sputtering on him, Glenn.
Yeah, he's out of gas, Eli. It is sputtering. There's no question about it. These guys have tried to stretch it. You know, we were talking about some of those guys trying to go halfway. No way, 32, 33 laps. All they've been able to do. Jason Keller is also having a good run. He's got a big problem now. Looks like oil pressure or something. He says something is locking up. He's smelling something burning. You mentioned Matt Kenseth. We smelled rear end grease on his car. Sounds like he's got a rear end problem. So not too good. Also, might point out, when these green flag stops cycle around, Terry Labonte beat Joe Nemechek out. So I think he'll inherit the lead once everybody pits.
There's Dick Trickle, who had a fuel system problem during yesterday's practice sessions. There's the suspension cam for Dick Trickle's entry. Just taking it slowly down pit road. Oh, there's Ted Christopher from the NASCAR Busch North Series. He's in the gravel pit, spinning off the course. He was running in 11th spot by virtue of the pit stops that were taking place, and that's one thing about that pea gravel there. Once you do get bogged down, there is no terra firma to help you get going, but there's no caution yet.
Eli, if there's one person that's wanting to see that car get out of that gravel pit, and there's the caution. I was going to say Todd Bodine. He did not need a caution flag right here.
He did not, but he's going to get one, and here's what happened off the downhill into the 90-degree turn, turn 1.
One thing about that gravel, it will stop your car, but you just about can't drive it out. It's got to get pulled out of there.
So Ted Christopher had pitted back at lap number 28, but everything else still cycling around. He was being shown in the 11th spot, and caution is on the speedway now for the 4th time today.
You know, Eli, I was just fixing to mention that Todd Bodine needed this thing to go green. If his game plan was to try to run to lap 41, he needed it to go green, because that's what happens. When some of the leaders start pitting, it changes your strategy. You've got to start thinking, do I want to go and commit to run to halfway and hope a caution don't come, or do I need to get on in there with him? Because now, after he pits, he's going to be deep in the field behind these guys that's pitted.
If it stays that way, in the next stop, maybe we should take them out of the left rear. What do you think?
Todd Bodine's team discussing what to do during pit stops.
Maybe half a pound.
Of course, a hugely successful team. They have completed all but 28 laps on the NASCAR Busch Series here in 1997. There's the running order. We're back in a moment. The beautiful area around Watkins Glen International. In the far, far distance, the Finger Lakes, Seneca Lake, Cayuga Lake. Some of the fans on hand here. Don't let the emptier grandstands deceive you. They have 1,200 acres of area here from which you can view the racetrack. There really aren't that many grandstands per se, Larry. A lot of folks just don't sit in them. They're all on the hills and the dales and all around. There you see that magnificent view, and in the far distance are the Finger Lakes. But don't let some of the empty areas in the grandstands deceive you. A lot of folks just don't use them here.
No, and it's just, what a beautiful day for racing. Mid-80s, slight breeze, just a beautiful day for the Busch cars here at Watkins Glen today.
You know, it's amazing. We were talking earlier, NASCAR Winston Cup team's coming up here for the Budweiser at the Glen shortly for the 11th year, all right. It seems like yesterday we came up here for the first time.
Oh, it really does. You know, remember Tim Richmond being so dominant those first few years in that 25 car. Time really flies, I guess, Eli, the older you get, huh?
The older you get, yes. Pit stops now. Elliott Sadler's in. There's the race leader, Todd Bodine. Glenn?
Well, Elliott Sadler brings the Phillips 66 Performance 29 Chevy in, guys, and man, this is a tough break for him. Like we were talking, Larry, he really is getting moved way back in the pack now. This will be a 4-tire change. Sandy Jones, the crew chief, said there would be no adjustments. He likes the car just the way it is. Had a great run going. Came in second. He'll go out way in the back. Let's go to Matt.
Tom Bodine has been waiting to bring this car down pit road to adjust on it. It was so tight. They were trying to go to lap 35. They did not want to get a caution. They're at lap 35, but it was a bad break for them. He's down and away. They put a half a round of wedge in the right rear to try to fix this problem. And there's a problem on the 74. They are still discussing whether to bring in Randy LaJoie because they did not get all the fuel in that they'd wanted on their last stop. So they're still talking it over between Billy Nazareth and Steve Bird.
They were in at lap number 31 for fuel, and apparently it did not get the full fill of 76 Racing gasoline in the car. In the garage area, Lou Rettenmeyer has just parked his machine from the NASCAR Busch North Series. One of those who has a pretty good road racing ability, but he is done for the day. While we've got a moment, how about the AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 1,575 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
Here at Watkins Glen, the Busch Series drivers, we're pretty busy inside these race cars. We come down the straightaways as fast as we can. We go into the corners, we got to brake hard, downshift up, downshift all the way to second gear, turn the car, exit the corners, upshift to third gear, and there we go up through the S's. This is a deal that a lot of guys heel to toe the brake pedals. A lot of guys, I'm a left foot braker. I'm hard on the brakes, get back hard on the gas with my right foot. Tex Racing, Jericho has come up with a transmission. You don't have to use the clutch anymore. So it makes our job a little bit easier. But the hardest thing is get the RPM of the motor right to the gears in the back. So when you do shift your transmissions, you're not wheel hopping and downshifting. And that's pretty much the hardest thing to do, is not to wheel hop these things, entering a corner, and try to slow down as fast as you possibly can. This is a tricky organization. Road course racing is fun, and sometimes you end up in the styrofoam barriers like I did yesterday.
But they rebuilt that car, and Randy LaJoie right now is in 10th position. Glenn Jarrett, we hear tell that Elliott Sadler may have to come back in again. What's going on down there?
Oh, bad news. He is coming back in, Eli. They left 2 lug nuts loose. Had a real quick pit stop. In fact, I was really impressed by it, and now I know why. They didn't get all the lug nuts tight, so he's going to have to come back in. One of the fortunate things about it is he was one of just a few or a handful of cars that pitted on that lap anyway, so it's not really going to cost him that many positions on the racetrack. We'd already commented on the fact he came in second, would come out at the back of the pack. Now he will be at the very tail end of the field. Tough break for Elliott.
Yeah, he tested here on the 18th and 19th of June with Butch Leitzinger. Instead of going to one of the road course schools, Sandy Jones decided to bring in Butch Leitzinger, who's a great road racer from up in State College, Pennsylvania. And he said, better to do it here, to learn right here. And that's the approach they took, as instead of going to a Bondurant school or someone else's.
I think, going to the schools like Bondurant, they can teach you road racing technique. But as far as what you do here at Watkins Glen, you need to be right here doing it. As we go back to the green, Eli.
The race leader circling through traffic right now. And all of these machines here, as one gets off the course but saves it nicely. Picking his way through race traffic is Terry Labonte in the number 5. He is the race leader right there in the middle of the pack of traffic coming uphill. There you see the Bayer colors. There's your leader, number 5, Labonte. 87, Joe Nemechek is second. Everybody trying to sort themselves out there. You've got Mike McLaughlin next in line, Steve Park and Dale Jarrett.
You see Terry Labonte going around Mark Crow, and he pulls up on the back of Dick Trickle as he goes through turn 5.
Terry Labonte, 10 NASCAR Busch Series wins, and 4 of those are here at Watkins Glen, 3 in a row.
Joe Nemechek running second right now, but actually back in traffic.
There's Glenn Allen Jr. He's got some problems.
Looks like the left front
tire is flat. Yeah, the left front tire is gone on the Luxair. That's his Michigan car, not a short track car, but a Michigan car they've converted for this weekend.
And again, we talked in the opening, the only thing they can move is the battery and the lid. And the only other thing that they have to do, there we see a tire as we come up the short chute, that possibly come off the Glenn Allen car, probably the left front that was flat.
Indeed.
But they have to move the fuel filler and the fuel overflow because, as we've seen in the pits, they actually pit the car on the opposite side than they do the oval tracks.
Race leader still working through traffic. You see the leader going by, and there's Nemechek in second, but third on back, McLaughlin and the rest now having to pick their way through traffic going to the inner loop. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Eli, Glenn told me before the race, he said, well, we just want to get to the finish of this race. We've had some bad luck this year. This is not the car we wanted to bring. This is our speedway car. It works great down the straightaways. It just won't turn. So all we want to do is just get it to the finish. We could have brought another car that might have given us maybe a top 15 finish, but we want to use that car next week at Milwaukee. And they did not want to take a chance on damaging that car and hurting their chances at Milwaukee, where he's had a lot of experience in the ASA cars.
Indeed he has. So that's pit stop taking place, lap number 38. And here come the leaders beneath the NASCAR Winston Cup Series bridge. And the countdown that you see on the screen, 43 laps remaining. Behind Labonte and Nemechek, Mike McLaughlin is third, Steve Park is fourth, Dale Jarrett is fifth, Bobby Labonte sixth, Randy LaJoie is seventh, followed by Jimmy Spencer, Kevin LePage, and Buckshot Jones. ExperienceCountry.com, your personal source for all things country. From race cars to country stars, connect to Country.com, your personal source for all things country. Welcome back, everybody, with Larry McReynolds, Glenn Jarrett, and Matt Yoakum. I'm Eli Gold. Glad you're with us here at Watkins Glen International, just past the halfway point in the Lysol 200. So now the Stanley Tools mid-race report. Stanley, since 1843, has been helping people do things right. There you see the numbers. Average speed 80.252 miles an hour. Last year, the speed of 91.468. So we're down a bit from the numbers of a year ago. But there's the battle for the lead. Has been all day. Either Nemechek ahead of Labonte or Labonte ahead of Nemechek. But they have been the class of the field.
Pretty much, even though we showed 4 leaders, pretty much that was by virtue of these 2 guys pitting on the green and other people inheriting the lead. But these 2 guys have pretty much been the dominant cars all day and really stretching it out on the 3rd and 4th place car.
3rd place, Mike McLaughlin. 4th is Steve Park. 5th is Dale Jarrett. There you see those machines working their way through the inner loop right now. There's Magic Shoes right there, Mike McLaughlin. He's solid on the road courses. He has finished 4th and 3rd in the last 2 races here, Mike has. Steve Park, very, very consistent. Dale Jarrett doing well to hang on to his top 5. Bobby Labonte 6th. Randy LaJoie in 7th. And Spencer, Bodine, and Kevin LePage. You know, who's backed off just a bit is Jason Keller. He's now running in 16th position. And there you see Jason right there being bypassed by Shane Hall. There's Elton Sawyer right behind him. Is something wrong there with the 57 with Keller?
Yeah, Eli, he's got, they speculate now he's got a broken valve spring. Remember we told you when he came in for that pit stop that they were talking about an internal problem of some kind. Right now, they think that it is a broken valve spring. The guy that I want to talk about right now, though, driving the Barbasol Ford number 38, Elton Sawyer, his car owner, Bob Sutton, just told me that they can go all the way. And I said, no way. He said, yes, all the way. He can go 47 laps on a tank of fuel. So if the race stays green, he might have something to say about the outcome of this thing.
Certainly so. Elton has finished in the top 10 at Dover. He had that 5th at South Boston, so his season really turning well. Also on the racetrack, Spencer and LaJoie swapping positions around, all behind the race leader, Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte, the 4th of our leaders today, took the top spot at lap 37. We're now 6 laps later. Well, the picture says it all. Gravel pit. Add some Aqua Fresh, and it all equals a caution flag here at Watkins Glen International. Roy Buckshot Jones had this excursion seconds ago.
You see the car had already gotten loose on him in the spin zone around. This is in turn 10. He gets off in the grass. There you see it. Looks like it had to slow down a bit, but the minute it hits the gravel, stop. It just stops it immediately the minute you hit those little pebbles, and he's not going to get it going. And this caution comes, Eli, with about 38 laps to go, so this could play into the strategy situation. I got to believe a lot of guys, if they pit here, they can make it to the end on fuel.
They should be able to. We have seen others go 36 laps today, so we're just 2 laps shy of that situation. There's Randy LaJoy, who we've been talking about a good bit. He's running an 8th right now. Matt, what's his fuel situation?
Eli, on the last pit stop, we talked about how there was some confusion in the 74 pit. They did not know if they got all the fuel in the car. That all stemmed from pitting the opposite way here on a road course. The gas man kind of pulled back, let what will be now the right rear tire changer come around, change the tire. Well, the tire changer didn't think the gas man got all the gas in, and then Birdie was saying, hey, get back, push your gas back in, get all the gas in. So there was some confusion when they got all the gas in, but they are okay.
So that's the update from the pit lane as we work caution. Caution is out for the 5th time today at lap number 45 as Terry Labonte continues to lead at Watkins Glen. Commercial transportation for this broadcast has been provided by Ryder, the official transportation company of Opryland. Welcome back to the Lysol 200. We are seeing some very interesting strategy playing out, Larry McReynolds. A lot of guys pitting, but an equally strong number of fellas electing not to pit here at lap 46.
Well, yeah, as far as the leaders that pitted, Mike McLaughlin and Todd Bodine pitted. Now, there's about 36 laps to go. Todd Bodine has run 35 laps earlier, but he did it with a lot of caution laps. So the interesting thing will be here, can he do it if we run a long green stretch? A lot of the drivers, Terry Labonte, Joe Nemechek, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, they opted to stay out. They feel like they can't make it from here, so there was no sense in pitting since they only had 8 to 10 laps on their tires.
Is it a fuel question, Glenn, or is it a tire wear question to go the rest of the way?
Eli, I think it's a combination of both, but primarily fuel is the big concern. We've been listening to Terry and Bob Labonte talk back and forth, and Terry says, hey, Dad, says some of these guys think they can make it all the way. Bob says simply, we can't. He said, we just can't make it that long. They said they got to go 7 more laps from now. The 32 car, Dale Jarrett, thinks the same thing. Now, Steve Park thinks that they can make it on fuel if they stop now. But as Matt told us a while ago, that they can't make it on tires. So, let's go down and see what the 34 and the 36 cars say, Matt.
Glad I talked to Gary Cogswell of the Team 34 Mike McLaughlin car. He said the reason we came in, we can go the rest of the way, so why not pit now and then work our way back up through? He says fuel is no problem. Tires a little bit of a concern, but this is our strategy and we're going to go with it.
So we'll all find out together. We're at lap number 46 of 82. If you're following some moves through the field, well, Terry hasn't moved a whole heck of a lot, only from 2nd to 1st. That's the move he's made today. But look at those dominating numbers, Larry.
That's pretty impressive. Every finish in the top 3 and 4 wins. That's the most impressive.
He's trying to go for his 4th consecutive win here at Watkins Glen. The only times that's happened, Dale Earnhardt has won 5 in a row at Daytona, the Goodies 300s there, now known as the Gargoyles 300. Jack Ingram, the Ironman, won 5 races in a row in South Boston Speedway in Virginia. Tommy Ellis also on that list. Tommy won 4 in a row at the South Boston Speedway. He always used to bring a great car down from Richmond and dominate there at South Boston. So a pretty good group right there for Terry to join if he can here today. Green flag. Joe Nemechek couldn't quite hang with him there on the start. Trying.
Terry gets a good start as he pulls them down into turn 1. Get the green with 35 to go.
Steve Park is hanging right there. What a year for Steve Park. 8 top 10 finishes in 16 races. As a rookie, he's 4th in series points. I mean, that's almost unbelievable.
Eli, it comes as a surprise, but it really don't. You and I did the broadcast last year at Loudon, New Hampshire, when he run 3 different races and run right up at the front at all 3 different divisions.
He has that win at Nashville this year. 5 top 5s, Matt. And he's very, very smooth out there today.
Eli, a good reason for that. Since South Boston, he has competed in 7 races here at Watkins Glen. You say, how? Well, he's got the NASCAR 2 game at his house. He said, believe it or not, because I have run 6 races, and it develops patience. You can always hit the reset button, but in a real race car, you can't. So he goes, my strategy, try to run as many races on the game without having to hit the reset button. He goes, it's developed patience, a lot of thinking going on. He says, that's a real big reason why we're going to run well this weekend. He says, the only problem is my roommates get mad at me because the pedals are mounted on our cutting board from the kitchen. Every time they want to cook, they've got to go in the den and undo the pedals off of the cutting board. He says, they kind of get a little mad at me because then it gets a little sticky when we go back to try to use the game.
Oh, there he went off onto the rumble strips that time.
He's definitely using all of the racetrack and then some. You know, those are a little ripply, little bumpy through there, but you can run up on them and it don't upset the car too bad.
Actually, some of the fellas would claim to tell me that when they come out of turn 11 underneath the bridge, they actually use the rumble strips to right the car just a bit.
Well, again, if the car's not turning, a lot of times you can hit those rumble strips and it'll go ahead and help the car turn if it's pushing up off the corner. Those 2 cars there, they're not having to use anything to do anything. They're pretty much are flawless all day long.
One driver change moments ago. Johnny Chapman climbing from his number 89. And Lou Rettenmeyer takes over behind the wheel there after Rettenmeyer had parked his machine. Chapman's been battling the flu all weekend. And Rettenmeyer has run Lime Rock. He has driven everything from Formula V to IMSA to Trans Am to Midget. So they've made that change in the 89 car. Working lap number 49 of 82. Strategy is going to be a big story when we come back. A good look at the Watkins Glen dock area down at Seneca Lake, and that is the lead look right now. Joe Nemechek a lap ago under braking through turns 10 and 11, making the pass to grab the lead away from Terry Labonte. Joe Nemechek, who led the first 30 circuits here today, shows the way here at Watkins Glen. Let's show you how it happened.
There they go up the short chute toward the left-hander, turn 11. Joe Nemechek dives to the inside, outbrakes Labonte, gets in front of him before they come off the corner. Gets it a little out of shape there, but gathers it back up before turn 11. With about 32 to go, he says it's time to flex my muscles and show them just how strong I am.
Of course, Joe Nemechek is on a different pit strategy or a pit schedule now than everybody else. And Matt, that's going to be something, as we said before the break, pit sequencing is going to be a story down the stretch here.
You're exactly right, Eli. I talked to Brian Patty, the crew chief for Joe Nemechek. He said, well, you know what? We might have probably wanted to pit that last caution. This is my first time here. He goes, you know, I kind of rolled the dice and, hey, let's wait, and we're going to go with the 5 car. Whenever the 5 pits, we're going to go, and whenever that is, Joe's going to go with him.
They pitted at lap 31, Joe Nemechek did, and then elected not to make the stops when others came in at lap 46. So we'll see how it all plays out here today. You know who else we've not talked much of, and we need to, is Mark Green. A guy who started in 40th spot, and he's up to 14th right now. We've not talked at all, and he was telling me a great story as you watch the news. Here's Green right there in that Wolf number, the green and blue car that just went through your screen right there. He was telling me yesterday how he prepared for this race by testing on the figure 8 track. There you see him right there in the middle of the picture now, number 37. He went to that figure 8 track at Kentucky Motor Speedway in Whitesville, Kentucky, and they built a mock road course on that little short track, the figure 8 course. And before that, he used to run go-karts in Indiana and so on. But that's how they prepared to go road racing.
Well, you know, and a lot of times if you hadn't been here at Watkins Glen, you know, you're out there qualifying and you just don't get your rhythm down. Then as you get into the race, you watch other people, that's what they're doing around you, where they're letting off, where they're getting on. You know, you kind of pick your rhythm up. Matt, what kind of pit strategy does Mark Green and his crew have?
At this juncture, Larry, they feel they can go rest of the way on fuel. He says, we got our best career finish 8th at Daytona. This may be our best career finish ever in the Busch Series today because we can go the rest of the way. We know a lot of teams are going to have to pit with maybe 20 laps to go. And we feel with all the traffic out there, we will definitely be in the top 10 if nothing else happens.
And Mark said he's going to go to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and run for the Bruco team in Milwaukee next Saturday, the day before the NASCAR Busch Series runs there. Matter of fact, his brother David Green is running the truck this weekend in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. So he'll be doing double duty. Mark Green will be next weekend at the Milwaukee Mile.
So, Eli, what we've got with less than 30 laps to go, we've got several cars. They don't want to see a caution. They want this thing to go green all the way. Mark Green, Todd Bodine, Mike McLaughlin. Then we've got another handful of cars, including the 2 leaders. They want to see a caution flag here shortly because they know they're going to have to be in the pits, caution or not, to get some fuel.
And that is indeed the story of this race right now, folks. Working lap 53 of 82.
Feather the throttle through the inner loop there.
There's your leader. There's second place, Terry Labonte. Steve Park third. Dale Jarrett in fourth. Matt Kenseth has gone to the garage area. So the Wisconsin driver had problems here in his first weekend at the road course. Missed some shifts yesterday. Cost the team a power plant. They had to change motors. And Kenseth going to the garage area now as our 7th retiree. Further back in the field, Jason Keller and Joe Pezza got together seconds ago. Let's see what happens here. On the outer loop towards turn 11. Whoa.
Almost losing it.
And
Joe Bessie right there behind him.
Good save by Pezza right there in the 58. He made his first road race start in a GTO event here. Pezza did. He's then run for Tommy Riggin, or Tommy. A good road racer, and he's been around, and Pezza did a great job to save his machine right there. Well, for the moment, it's a 2-horse race. But both of those horses are going to need some oats before it's over. We'll tell you about it as we continue on TNN. There is your new leader, Steve Park. The 8th time he has led in 1997. He led earlier today for a lap and takes the lead here at lap 56 as pit stops have taken place over the last few moments. Joe Nemechek has been in. Randy LaJoie has stopped. Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte, Kevin LePage, Mike Dillon, and now here come Park and Dale Jarrett to make their stops. So all of these stops taking place at lap number 57.
Eli, they have been discussing it, and after seeing all the other lead cars, Dale Jarrett and his group decided to come on in too, as did Steve Park. Larry, you've talked about it for a long time. There's no reason to stay out there. You've got to try to do it in the pits. Don't wait and lose that track position. Let's go down the map.
Steve Park is in. It's a 4-tire stop. Tony Ewing Jr. on the right front, going to work on the right side. Left side's already on. Tony Sr. saying, get all the fuel in. Get all the fuel in. This is the biggest thing has been tire wear for these guys. Steve says the tires were about worn out on the front. Let's bring it in. Glenn?
So they have done that. Mike McLaughlin will inherit the lead now. First time today. McLaughlin, who finished 4th and 3rd in the last 2 races here at Watkins Glen, is now atop the leaderboard. Glenn, taking your brother a while to get out of the pits.
Yeah, Eli, they had another bad pit stop. Wes Ward, the crew chief, is changing tires. He just went back to work for him a couple of weeks ago, and they put him into tire changing duty. He just hadn't gotten to the rhythm of it yet. Lost a couple of lug nuts that time. They had to replace them by hand on the right rear tires. They were changing it, so he had about another 35, 36-second pit stop, so put him way back in track position.
Been a while, though, since he's changed tires, Glenn, isn't it?
Yes, Eli, they came in on around lap 31, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was timed. It was about 27 laps that they went that time. So it was pretty close to their window anyway. And as Larry has continued to say, and he's exactly right, go ahead and pit. Once Nemechek pitted, all those other guys had to pit too and try to make that position up on the racetrack under green rather than waiting and coming in and then coming out behind all those cars pitting under the caution. If there is a caution, you don't even know if there's going to be one.
And Larry, to follow up on what Glenn was saying, the difference between Labonte's stop, which was 21.5 seconds, Jarrett's stop was 34.5 seconds. So a 13-second spread, that's big time on a racetrack.
And that transfers over to the racetrack, exactly. And again, what these guys have done, you know, they did what they had to do. Most of them pitted around lap 30 for tires, elected not to come in with McLaughlin and Bodine pitted. So that was roughly 52 laps to go. So what they've done is split the difference on their tires and going to get about 26 laps to run on the tires. This is the guy sitting in the driver's seat right here, though, if a caution don't come out, Mike McLaughlin. You know, talking about Wes Ward, we talked a lot about him at the beginning of the year because he was actually Jeff Green's crew chief on that car that was so dominant before Jeff moved on to Winston Cup, and Wes decided that he would not move on to Winston Cup, so he's back with Dale Jarrett, who he worked with for several years before he went to Jeff Green.
That team was third in the NASCAR Busch Series points when it basically ceased operations under the Diamond Ridge Motorsports operation. We told you Matt Kenseth went to the garage. He's done for the day. Clutch problems. Ted Christopher has also gone to the garage. He's done for the day. As you see, Mike McLaughlin's Royal Oak colors on the bottom of the screen and his in-cockpit work on the top right of the screen.
He just needs to be really smooth here and again watch these laps count down and hope that no caution flag is thrown during the remainder of this race.
It's interesting where guys test. McLaughlin has never failed to do well here, yet he came up here and tested on June the 4th and 5th. A lot of guys say, let's go where we're good, I guess, and get even better. Others say, well, let's go where we're not real good and try and become competitive. A definite difference in philosophy, I guess.
But this Busch Series is getting just like Winston Cup. If you're going to run and contend for the championship, you can't give up anything anywhere. Not the speedways, not the short tracks, and not even the race here at Watkins Glen on the road course.
Here's McLaughlin coming past the start-finish line one more time. Lap 59 going up on the board of 82. We'll be right back. From that car to the yellow machine behind it. That's first to second, 3 4/10 seconds. Both teams basically even as far as conditions. They pitted on the same lap. They all came in at lap number 46 for fuel and tires, and it's now 3.5 seconds basically between the two.
And again, Todd Bodine showed earlier that he could run 35 laps, but I keep stressing the difference, and they're the one calculating the fuel mileage. A lot of caution laps in that first 35 laps, so it's going to be interesting. The thing about it, this is team cars. You got to believe if one car is confident that he can do it, the other one should be able to do it as well.
Todd Bodine, Jimmy Spencer now running on the lead lap in third spot. And, of course, he also pitted at lap number 46. So there's the Zippo colors for Jimmy. And should something happen up front, he'd be very much in the hunt as well. We talked earlier with Randy LaJoy and that tech fact about the Jericho transmission and so on. That over the years, and it's not a new invention, certainly it's been around a while, but that maybe is the one single thing, plus repetition, I guess, that has made a lot of these fellows road racers.
Well, it really is, you know, and you have such a selection of ratios. There's some guys running the conventional 4-speed here where high gear is 1-to-1, but a lot of people run the overdrive transmission here where third gear is 1-to-1 and then overdrive is fourth gear. And the reason they do that, you spend most of your time in third gear and the less heat's generated when you're in 1-to-1, so that's the reason they run the overdrive.
There's 74, Randy LaJoy right there on your screen. He's in 18th position. Dale Jarrett right behind him in 19th spot. Again, they came in, made their pit stops. In LaJoy's case at lap 55. Jarrett at lap number 57. Also climbing up the leaderboard now is Tracy Leslie. He had some problems earlier today, you might remember, spinning on the race course and so on. But his Lysol car has worked itself well up to the front again, although he's certainly due for a stop. As far as where Terry Labonte is right now, he's running in 11th position. And there you see the Labonte brothers working through. There's Bobby in that shell colors right there.
Elliott Sadler went straight through the inner loop. I wonder if he had a problem. He was running awfully slow when he went through there. Now, NASCAR told the drivers at the drivers' meeting that if you missed the inner loop, they're not going to penalize you as long as you don't pick up a position by doing it. But if you go through it, you better have a problem.
There's Terry Labonte right there. There you still see some of that fuel venting out the right rear of the Bayer machine.
When you fill these things up with fuel, just the centrifugal force will sling it out that overflow for a number of laps. Bill Parsons, who was running in, I think, 5th position, has just hit pit road.
Phil came in at lap number 23 for a stop, then again lap 36, and now the Channel Lock team in at lap number 63.
The stop comes with 19 laps to go, putting on 4 tires.
Mike McLaughlin, the leader. Todd Bodine second. Jimmy Spencer is third. Tracy Leslie is fourth. There's old Joe Nemechek right now on the screen. Joe 28.5 seconds behind the race leader. He short pitted, if you will, at lap 55 and said, what the heck, we got to stop, let's do it now.
He's the one that kind of started the mode of pitting. Once he hit, the other guys had to come. In 26 seconds, Eli, there isn't but 2 things that's going to make up that difference. If all the other guys have trouble, or a caution flag.
And as far as cautions, folks, if you're just joining us, we've had 5 today. One when Sean Hendricks hit the wall in turn 1. Once when Brian Simo spun. Oh, and there's problems in the 89. That's Lou Rettenmeyer, having taken over from Johnny Chapman, who's bothered by the flu, but there is no caution. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had problems in the inner loop after an apparent engine problem. That brought out the 3rd caution today. Then Ted Christopher going off course, lap 34, and Buckshot Jones spinning in turn 10 at lap 45. And there you have the caution recap. Out of the race, Sean Hendricks, Rob Wilson, Brian Simo, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Robert Presley, Lou Rettenmeyer, Matt Kenseth, and Ted Christopher. And there you see problems from Mark Green right there. Had a super run going. We bragged on him earlier after, remember, testing for the road course at that figure 8 track in Kentucky. And now he's got some problems as he works back towards the inner loop.
You know, I don't want to speak too soon, but when he come down the front stretch a while ago, it almost sounded like he missed a shift. And again, he may have hurt his power plant. Don't want to speak too soon, but it sounded like he did miss a gear.
In any event, he's done himself proud here today. As we said, does double duty next weekend in Milwaukee. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race Saturday and the NASCAR Busch Series event on Sunday. There's the race leader, Mike McLaughlin, still showing the way. He's got Todd Bodine, Jimmy Spencer, Tracy Leslie, and Joe Nemechek chasing him. The Lysol 200 is live on TNN Motorsports. Glad you're spending part of your Sunday afternoon with us here in New York State. Eli Gold, Larry McReynolds, Glenn Jarrett, Matt Yoakum. There's the leader, Mike McLaughlin, by 2 3/10 seconds now over second place Todd Bodine. There's Todd closing in from the rear flank in the Stanley colors. Meanwhile, Jeff McClure had problems moments ago. He's got Jimmy Means on hand this weekend as a team manager and advisor. Nothing Jimmy could have done to help McClure right there, but he stayed away from that gravel pit and kept on going. Good run for him. Lou Rettenmeyer, we showed you before, his spin coming out of the inner loop. And you see Dick Trickle locking it up there not to go wide. Now we talked about Mark Green a short while ago. Here's exactly what happened to him. Hard on the binders.
See, a lot of these guys get into turn 1 just a little bit too hard, and that's easy to do, especially after the tires have several laps on them and not gripping, and they just overdrive that corner and get in the edge of that gravel pit.
There's Mike McLaughlin. He has won at Dover in 1995 and Loudon in 1997, trying to add another victory here. But while things are stable on the racetrack, it is with peerless pride that we present Larry McReynolds. Brought to you by Peerless Faucets, the do-it-for-yourself faucets.
This is what the gear looks like in your 4-speed transmission in your passenger car at home. It has a lot of these little bitty teeth on the gear. It has this brass synchronizer ring that puts pressure against these teeth that slows it down where it'll go in gear. Now in the Jericho transmission, like a lot of the cars are using here at Watkins Glen, there's just several of these big teeth. There is no brass synchronizer ring to deal with. So when they get ready to shift, they just grab a gear and shift. They don't even use the clutch, and it just goes right in the gear. Now, if you tried to do that with this set of gears, you would actually break these teeth off this brass synchronizer ring. Now, you can shift this transmission without using the clutch, but you have to have the RPM just perfectly matched. And that's something that the drivers just can't do here as many times as they have to shift each lap.
Interesting lesson right there.
I had to go to school a little bit on that before I did that. I can tell you what ratios you need, but I'm not sure how you put them together.
Well, those are the numbers we're caring about on the track right now. The 34, the leader, and there's the 63 right now, Tracy Leslie. He has been on the pit lane at lap 36 for his last stop, and Glenn, that's allowed him to come all the way up to 4th. Can he go the distance?
His crew chief, Jeff Hensley told me that he could not go the rest of the way. He was asking me who said that could. Of course, we were talking 34 and 36 are the only ones that we're really sure about right now of the cars that didn't pit under green. But Jeff says they cannot make it. They got to stop one more time. They're going to come up about 4 laps short.
They had their problems earlier. Remember, there was a spin, there was some bumping and going, and all in all, he's done himself proud today, Tracy Leslie has.
You know, one thing that will also make the fuel mileage a little better, we saw that the leader last time by run like 1 minute and 18.5 seconds. That's 2.5 seconds slower than the pole speed was. But now those guys chasing the leader right now, Joe Nemechek and Terry Labonte, they're about a second faster than these leaders. But again, Eli, unless they get a caution, they're going to run out of laps.
Let's go back down to Glen.
And as we were standing there talking, Eli, Jeff was listening to us, and he got huddled with his guys. He said, let's go ahead and bring him in now. Maybe we will catch a caution. As we talked earlier, Larry, they know they got to stop. You might as well go ahead and do it right now.
Well, we've seen things play out. It's forced guys. I remember at Dover, Delaware a few years ago, late in the race, Bobby Hamilton had to started short pitting just a bit and forced Ray Evernham's hand to do things. So, of course, hey, you never know what happens. We saw the short pitting early, and here you see Tracy Leslie coming in for that splash of fuel to try and get him the rest of the way. This stop at lap number 70, just a dozen laps from the finish. The last original NASCAR Busch Series team still running. Jeff and Hubert Hensley's bunch in Horse Pasture, Virginia, Ridgeway, Virginia. The last team still out on the circuit that was there when the Busch Series began back in the early 80s.
They've elected just to put fuel in, clean the grill, and not change tires. They don't want to give up as little bit of time as possible on pit road. Tim Fedewa as well as on pit road with 11 laps to go.
There is the race leader. There is Timmy Fedewa. He's got a car that used to be a Randy LaJoie machine. Of course, Base Motorsports does the preparation on both sides. And Fedewa said to me this morning that I just want to finish. Another guy, you hear that from everybody. Just want to finish, get through the road course, and then move on to Milwaukee. And Tim's having himself a consistent run, certainly. He's been in the top 25 all day, 23rd at last check. Oh, they're looking for something, though.
Yeah. Looking at something on the left rear there.
Now we hear something happen on the track. Let's see if we can pick it up.
This looks like it's coming up the short chute toward turn 10. It looked like almost something's broke. You know, the track bar mount the track bar, I believe, is broke on that race car. You see the rear end looks like it's shoved way over. I believe that's what it is. That's what keeps the rear end centered in the car.
There it
is. And it's not going to work. There you see him push it behind the wall. Won't work without a track bar.
Too bad for Tim Fedewa within a dozen laps of making it to the finish. So they'll be pushing him behind the wall, most recent retiree. Now our leaders in traffic trying to get around Mike Dillon. Dillon in the 72 has had a solid run here today. He's in 19th spot. And McLaughlin trying to put him a lap down beneath the Winston Cup Series bridge. And you see the
laps to go, 10.
Stanley team right there closing in. And got to do whatever you can to get around traffic, putting Dillon a lap down right there. What's Clyde McLeod saying, Matt? He's calling the shots for Todd Bodine. Can they catch him?
They just watched both cars go by, Eli. Clyde, Todd has reeled him in, but can he get around him?
I don't know. That's going to be up to the two drivers. The Royal Oak Chevy and the Stanley Pontiac are running really good. The two drivers are just doing an excellent job. They're really good drivers. They're good road race drivers. They got a lot of rhythm. Keeps the cars good and smooth. And the strategy was to short pit them because the Winston Cup guys are tough. And that's the only shot we had, and here we are. So we just hope it stays green for the last 10 laps.
A lot of folks at home may be wondering, are there any team orders?
No, This ain't IndyCar. There ain't never any team orders in this team. They the best man win. They're both good friends, and I'm sure they'll go about it the right way.
Let's go back upstairs.
A great battle now for the lead. They got around Jeff Crow, the 56 car, right there. And these two fellas are trying to become the first NASCAR Busch Series regulars to win here. In the 6 years that the Busch Series has run here, a regular has never won, and only David Green had won the Busch pole. That could all change here today.
Yes, it could. Gary saw Mike pulled him just a little bit down that front stretch, off into turn 1. Like maybe Todd's getting off the corner just a little bit better than Mike right now. Whole key through those S's is who can get back to the gas the soonest and stay in the longest, because that gets you down that long back straightaway where you're carrying so much speed.
Now remember, Todd Bodine, no slouch on the road course here. He has finished 5th, 2nd, 5th, and 2nd. Mike McLaughlin, 4th and 3rd in the last 2 years alone.
Now, if the race ended here, Eli, we have the points leader, Randy LaJoy, running back in 10th. So whether Todd finishes 1st or 2nd, should it end this way, it really close this points battle up. Randy had a 52-point lead coming into the race today.
Neither man really abusing their race cars today. Brakes have not been a major problem.
You know, Todd, he run up to Mike awfully quick, and I wonder here, you know, with about 8 laps to go, if he's just kind of biding his time and trying to figure out where Mike might have a weak point at. He don't want to get both these cars in trouble. You know, he want to make sure he picks the right place to pass in and don't get in trouble with lap traffic, because with this long a green run, there you see one car up in front of him, a lot of lap cars out there.
Going uphill, they've got Jeff Crow's machine ahead of them, the number 56.
Mike
Jeff Crow
actually putting a little distance on him right down the back stretch.
Third is Spencer. 4th is Nemechek. 5th is Terry Labonte. Steve Park is 6th. Bobby Labonte is 7th. Hermie Sadler is running 8th. Dale Jarrett 9th. Randy LaJoy is 10th. Good run for Shane Hall in 11th spot. 12th is Elliott Sadler. Then you've got Tracy Leslie, Mark Green, and Elton Sawyer. That's your top 15 at the moment. Lap 74 of 82. On the clock, 9/10 of a second from 1st to 2nd. From 2nd back to 3rd, there you see top of the screen there.
Great lap, Mike. Great lap.
9.8 seconds from 2nd place back to the Zippo car, Spencer in 3rd. There you have Nemechek and Terry Labonte on the move. Roughly 20 seconds behind the front two.
They've made up a lot of ground in a short time. Again, they've got those fresh tires on, a lot fresher than the leaders. But again, the difference is the leaders elected to pit under caution. These guys had to pit under green. Both these guys really smooth through the inner loop, not really getting the car upset, carry it back down into turn 5, that long right-hander. Getting the cars to turn in this corner always seems to be a problem, and the longer you run, the worse they'll want to turn, but both these cars both look like they're turning good.
Those two guys are good friends too, McLaughlin and Todd Bodine. They rode their Harley Davidsons up here this weekend together. So those guys like each other. Teammates. Other action on the racetrack. Phil Parsons before had a little problem with Jeff Crow. Watch what happens here.
Looks like Jeff just got, like some earlier, got down in that corner awfully hard, but fortunately didn't get all the way into gravel pit. Kept the 2 right side wheels on the rumple strips and was able to continue on. 6 laps to go here.
Phil is in 19th spot now. Parsons is.
Todd run up to him awfully quick a while ago, but right now he's not really losing or gaining on him. Enjoying about a 4 or 5 car length advantage right there.
It's pretty well stabilized among the front two. Don't forget, you can always catch up with all the action from the racetrack on NASCAR Online, www.nascar.com. David Hyatt is on hand here at Watkins Glen, putting it all up on the cyberspace links for you. NASCAR Online, your 24-hour NASCAR Garage Pass. It gives you all the information as it unfolds. And folks, during the summer months, looking for some place to go with the family? How about the official destination of NASCAR? Opryland USA in Nashville, Tennessee. Give them a call at 889-6611 or check us out online at country.com, your personal source for all things country. Leaders work up through the S's. Mike McLaughlin stretching it just a bit on top. If you're curious about Steve Park, there he is, running in 6th position right now. And Matt, he's not up to speed. Or is he? Looked like he was off the pace there just a minute.
Well, Eli, he's running for points right now. He knows that they have no chance of victory now unless they get a caution so they can reel in the leaders. Tomorrow, though, they're carrying a Winston Cup car that's in Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s hauler up to Pocono for a Pocono test on Monday and Tuesday. They're going to make the Winston Cup debut at Pocono in about 3 weeks. If you happen to be in Mooresville and you're driving down, I believe it's 115, you see this big Taj Mahal glass front building. That's the new headquarters for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. It's going to be the Winston Cup shop. I'll tell you what, I was out there this week visiting the Busch shop, and the Winston Cup shop is going to be awesome. It's going to be state-of-the-art, all glass on the inside so fans can go in and see the cars working out everything. It's going to be a neat deal, but he's going to make that Winston Cup debut 3 weeks in Pocono when it all begins.
Sebastian had a mixed bag of success when he tested at Pocono earlier in the year. Had a good test day on a Tuesday, I believe. And then Wednesday, Larry, you were up there, grabbed a Burger King, I believe, went to Pocono, had lunch, and came home. It was
that
quick,
was about it. Yeah, they had run the first day and was pretty pleased with the test, and had changed engines, give him a little more power on that second day, and it just got away from him up off of turn 1 onto the Long Pond Straight. And, they repaired the car, got it in the hauler, and they'll be there for the next 2 days.
Riding with Stevie Reeves right now as he takes us around the racetrack. He's in 18th position, and there are the leaders again.
At times, Todd, Dick Trickle spins off turn 5. And if he can get it going, that'll be the key. Looks like he's moving there. Racetrack is still green. You do see the corner worker there waving the yellow flag, or the standing yellow flag, and that just means that there's trouble in that area. If he starts waving it, that means there's a full course caution. Looks like he's going to get it back going, and the race is still green.
There's the veteran from Wisconsin Rapids, Dick Trickle. And we do stay under the green. 5 cautions today. 6 a year ago. We'll show you exactly what happened. Right behind the leaders, Trickle just
up off that right-hander. Car just gets away from him. Remember, the old tires is getting hot and slick and really losing grip here, and it just got away from him.
And Trickle just hits again. While you were watching the replay, Dick Trickle hits yet again.
You know, he probably flat spotted those tires. It probably caused them to go flat. And Goodyear approaches this race a lot like a short track. They don't run interliners, but he's pretty much out of harm's way right there. So I would say the race is going to stay green.
And there you see the McClure car with some problems there as Jeff is being bypassed by the race leaders coming to turn 11 on the bridge. Separation first to second, 0.8 of a second.
2 laps to go.
And now here's what happened to Trickle again. Obviously something broke right there.
Saw the tire just give out right there. Yeah. Did a good job of keeping it under control. These things, he's completely on the rim right there, so you can imagine what it's like trying to drive that thing.
The trickle backs up out of the way. Oh, and problems now for Randy LaJoie. The point leader running in 9th position has problems here. Oh,
he's got the same problem that I believe his teammate had. Looks like the track bar mount is pulled loose, and that's what centers the rear end in the car, and that's the reason you see it shoved over way to one side. That's not going to be fixable with 2 laps to go.
He's won 8 races in his last 34 starts, but it won't be today. He's doing good just getting back.
Yeah.
There are the leaders now. Inside of a couple of laps remaining to settle the Lysol 200. Looks as though we'll have a NASCAR Busch Series winner for the first time.
There you see LaJoie stayed on the racetrack. He's going to try to finish this thing. That thing's going to be a handful to get around here one more lap.
To get uphill and go through the S's, but the white flag is on the speedway last time around for those 2 men to try and settle it. Mike McLaughlin ahead of Todd Bodine. Last time through turn 2, 3, and 4, the S's.
See a little bit of lap traffic there, but that's Jason Keller, and those cars are running pretty quick. I don't know if he'll actually catch them in this last lap.
Keller is about to go a lap down if they catch him, but he's running in 15th. He's had a good day, Jason has. Well, let's see if you can tell. Look at the difference in styles. Todd's just letting it hang out now.
Got to reach down there and get all you can right here. Mike really gets up off that turn 5 really good out of that right-hander.
Mike McLaughlin trying to take that machine back to victory lane. Same car he had back in Dover, Delaware, if memory serves, in 1995 to win at the Monster Mile. Here goes Todd Bodine for the win. Can't get there. Last time with traffic a factor to the stripe, Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin from Waterloo, New York is a winner here at Watkins Glen. His 3rd career NASCAR Busch Series start in his 121st career start. And good old Randy LaJoie just trying to nurse it around.
That car's had a rough life this weekend. And both tires is blown out from rubbing on the sheet metal, so he'll be lucky to make it the rest of the distance. There you see, just barely can keep it on the racetrack.
But Magic Shoes is heading to victory lane. His buddy from Chemung, New York alongside. The Lysol 200's in the books. We're back in a moment. Well, they saw a good race, and they saw a New York State man come home with the win. Old Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin from Waterloo, New York, is in victory lane. Glenn Jarrett is there as well. Glenn?
Man, look who's helping him get in there. Todd Bodine, his teammate who ran a close second to him, coming over to congratulate Mike. Look at this. What great team camaraderie. What spirit. This is great to see. Congratulations, guys. Mike, great day for Team 34, but what a week for Mike McLaughlin. The Mike McLaughlin day at home in Waterloo, and now you come down here in front of the hometown fans and win this thing.
Boy, what a day, huh? I'm done. It's been a great week, right from the motorcycle ride here to Waterloo Day and just seeing family and friends. And Royal Oak Charcoal is, woo, #2. I can't believe it. I mean, this is great. You always want to do good in front of your hometown people, and I can't thank everybody enough.
We're going to let Mike get out. I look and see if Todd Bodine's still around. He's gone off getting the congratulations from his teammates. So we'll get from his team, I mean. So we'll let Mike get out of the car, and we'll get one more question with him. Oh, the hometown fans love him. We're going to ask you one more question if you don't kill yourself first, Mike. Great leap. I love that. But obviously a great day winning in front of the hometown fans. But were you worried about Todd there? He really had something for you.
Todd's tough wherever he goes. He's an awesome road racer. He's an awesome racer, period. And to have him finish second, I mean, he's a great teammate as well as a good friend. And I'll tell you what, Ron Hutter deserves a lot of credit today. I missed about 3 shifts. Ron, one hell of an engine, buddy.
And one hell of a job that Mike McLaughlin did. Great day, as I said, for Team 34, Eli.
And I'll tell you, this track's starting to smile on the home folks. Last year in the NASCAR Winston Cup race, Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York showed the way. Today, Mike McLaughlin from Waterloo, New York is in victory lane. We're back with more in just a moment. Good crowd on hand here at Watkins Glen. Appreciate you folks watching. Quite an interesting weekend here, and the NASCAR Busch Series regulars finally show the way. Look how well Joe Nemechek came back up. How about that, Larry?
He definitely had a strong car all day long. Just
Jimmy
that
did himself,
pit strategy.
Yeah, and Spencer did himself proud. Park in 6th, Bobby Labonte, Glenn Joward in his first Busch Series race here. How about old Shane Hall, our pole sitter at South Boston, with a top 10. Randy LaJoy coming home there, you see, in 20th, and that should yield the series points lead at this point. Should swap things around to Todd Bodine.
Yeah, he was in pretty decent shape. It was going to close up to that track bar mount with about 2 laps to go.
And it'll be a 15-point lead as opposed to being 52 points down. So Todd is the series point leader. And there you see the full 42-car field. And Glenn, I understand you're with the new series point leader.
I certainly am, and we have escaped the pandemonium from victory lane. Now, you saw the leap that Mike McLaughlin made. Well, that kind of scared me, and maybe this guy too. Todd Bodine, great run, second place finish, and now you got the points lead.
Yeah, Randy kind of knew that was going to happen. He said that before the race, but no, Mike was tough. We came up here and tested, and he was really good testing. We knew he was going to be good in the race. He had a little problem qualifying, why he was back where he was. He would have been a top 3 car, but you know, Mike winning this race is almost as good as me winning this. We're good friends. This team is a team in every sense of the word, and this is what it's all about, to dominate a race like this. Our crew chiefs, Gary Coswell, Clyde McLeod, they made the right call to pit when we did. We knew we had to get track position. We didn't have the best car, but we had to have track position to do it, and it worked out. You know, Stanley and Harnage, all these people that support us, Royal Oak, Gold's Pumps. I mean, these people, this is what they're here for, and I tell you, to do this in our hometown for both of us is just an awesome feeling.
It certainly is. A great job by both those guys. Now let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Well, Glenn, our pole sitter had one of the fastest car on the tracks, but Joe, you didn't get the caution needed right there at the end.
Yeah, we needed one caution there on that last set of tires to get us all grouped back up. I tell you what, our Bell South Mobility Chevrolet Monte Carlo was strong. That thing was stout. We were ahead of Terry, and we could pull away from Terry, and that means something here at Watkins Glen. But you know, happy for Mike McLaughlin. They got us there, pitting in that window, and they were right on the edge of making it or not, and we decided to go another 10 or 15 laps, and we just needed one more caution. Next time, hopefully we'll get it.
Third place, a good stellar run for Joe Nemechek.
When we come back, we'll wrap things up from Watkins Glen. To the victor go the spoils. Mike McLaughlin winning again on the Busch Series. Well, there you see the point standings, how it's shaken down. Still, for all intents and purposes, Larry Mack, a couple of guys battling for the title. Though, you know, just past the halfway point. A lot can happen yet.
A lot of racing, 13 races to go. A lot of tracks. It's strong for Todd and strong for Randy coming up.
So that's how the numbers look heading to next weekend stop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Don't forget, folks, coming up this evening after a busy day in motorsports, it'll be all updated and recapped for you by Rick Benjamin. The PM edition of Race Day this evening, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on TNN Motorsports. Also tonight, NASCAR Garage, that great look behind the scenes of the people and the machines of NASCAR racing. That's tonight at 11 o'clock Eastern time here on TNN. Next Friday night, TNN Motor Madness will be with you with ASA AC Delco Challenge Racing from Kaukauna, Wisconsin. The Wisconsin 300 TNN Motor Madness next Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here on TNN. And of course, if you like this road course action, we've got more for you next Sunday afternoon. The SCCA Trans Am Series from Minneapolis, the Sprint PCS Grand Prix of Minnesota, 2 o'clock Eastern next Sunday, right here on TNN Motorsports. Our thanks to Larry McReynolds up here in the booth with me. Great job for Glenn Jarrett and Matt Yoakum down on the pit lane and in the garage area. A super day for the NASCAR Busch Series contingent and the New York State fellas. Mike McLaughlin wins. Todd Bodine comes home in second and grabs the series point lead here at Watkins Glen. For the entire crew, I'm Eli Gold. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. So long, everybody.